All right, cool. All right, so hi everybody, welcome to the new link. There is still some people in the old link that are going to be moving over to us, but really appreciate your patience as we're learning this new technology. Tonight we have two live performances that are going to start the show. Harry will start off and then Tim will follow up. And then after our live performances, we will have a recorded version of the show. And that total will be about maybe 50 minutes of the recorded version along with 10 minutes of the live version. We're looking at about an hour of programming. And then after the program, we do have some of the artists that are here for a talkback. And if you want to put any of your questions or your comments, we can wait till afterwards, but you can comment and ask questions throughout the chat, all you want throughout the show. We'll catalog those questions, those comments, and then we can add that to our conversation at the end. I just wanted to give a shout out to all the students and how hard they work, and to Shala and Elena and Michael and John and Neil and everybody who helped out with this program. This is all student work. These are student testimonials, either about their experiences of immigrating into the United States or their families or their friends' experiences. And we'll see a lot of different takes. We'll see some short film documentary style. We'll see some interviews, and then we'll see the testimonials, like the live testimonials, starting off with Harry and Tim, all written by the students, all directed by the students, all performed by the students. And it's been a real labor of love. And it's been a real joy to be working with this dedicated, talented, wonderful group of artists throughout the quarter. So I won't take up any much more time. We'll get started right away. Harry's going to lead us off, and he'll start off with his testimonial, and then we'll go right into Tim, and then give us a couple seconds as we transfer over to the recorded version. And hope you enjoy the show. Thank you so much for being here. Harry, I'm going to sign off, and it is all yours, brother.
Before I tell my story, I want you to imagine yourself being the body of a 17 years old who came from a third world country and has never traveled abroad before. But then, due to some circumstance, your first opportunity to go abroad will be going to the US to continue your study. Yes, that is my story 2 years ago. Knowing that the state of education was already been on hold for a couple of months now, due to a teacher's strike, it's already your second semester and nothing seems like it's getting better. Even though the situation doesn't improve, the only thing you could do was hoping that everything would get better. Yet, when the opportunity to study abroad showed up, and prepared to start living by myself and going abroad for study, I still took this opportunity, leaving behind my friends and family. Preparing the necessary documentation took almost half a year, and meanwhile I wasn't sure if it was the right decision to make. It was the only option that came from my mind at that time. However, staying and hoping that somehow the situation would get better wasn't a choice that I would risk taking. So I made up my mind that going abroad was the best possible choice to make. After 40 hours of flight, I finally made it to the US, excited to learn and experience new things in a completely new environment. 3 months passed quickly as I entered college. Eager to start my college journey, my first quarter was a memorable one, since it was my first time experiencing winter with snow. And winter came by quickly that I didn't even realize spring was already here. As spring quarter getting closer, I got more comfortable with the environment and finally was able to make friends. It didn't last as the pandemic started though. When school went remotely, I thought I would manage somehow, and yet I wasn't prepared to experience those different emotions. Isolated from human interaction, separated from friends and family, the pandemic drove me through more emotional strain than what I've ever been through. I couldn't process the fact I would have to stop being around those people that I just met and even stop the activity that I just picked up. The accumulation of stress, the worry over your family 10,000 miles away from you gave me anxiety, a new feeling I couldn't process. I didn't know how to deal with it, provoking a sleepless night after sleepless night, a decrease in concentration. I was doing poorly, either in my school or in personal. And then December came, December 20th. I decided to take a break and to go meet my uncle in another state to relieve myself from what I've been struggling with. We could say that it was a nice way for me to reconnect with other people dear to me. And it helped me to not being too warmed up by this unwanted emotion. And I think at the end, this period that I struggled during the pandemic were forever stuck in me. It's this moment that keep remind me how life can be unexpected and that you have to enjoy it every day as if it was best. But I wonder if I haven't made this choice, what will happen? What would you do if you were me? Thank you.
Taruf is a key and beautiful part of Iranian culture. It's a customary back and forth of polite gestures and pleasantries. You use it when giving food or offering money or anything. One of the main tenets of Taruf is you offer something to someone 3 times if you really want them to have it. My birth mother offered me to my parents 3 times also. And my life was also saved 3 times by my parents trying to get me from Iran to USA. I was adopted at birth in Iran by loving American parents. During the Shah's reign in Iran, women could wear their hair down, mini skirts, men and women could dance together, but having a child out of wedlock was against the law. If my birth mother, Zoreh, was found to be pregnant with me, the likely outcome would be jailed by the government or stoned to death by her family, after which I would have been sent to an orphanage as an outcast. If I survived the first 5 years of orphanage, during the Iran-Iraq War, the Iran military took all the orphans out of the orphanages and made them walk in front of the tanks to clear minefields. Orphans were expendable. Tanks were not. The day before I was born, my mother was told about a woman who was about to give birth. Immediately after Zoreh had me, I was handed directly from the womb to my mother, from my grandmother. And the grandmother told my mother in Farsi that she didn't want Zoreh to hold me because she wouldn't let go of me. I am, to this day, still feel sadness for Zoreh that she carried me for 9 months and never got to hold me in her hands. But my dad had no idea about any of this until my mom walked through the door and said, "Honey, come meet your new son." So that was the first time I was offered by Zoreh and the first time my life was saved. The second time my life was saved was when my dad went to get my passport and adoption papers. He took a taxi to some bureaucrat's office in Tehran. This was a low-level bureaucrat who offered my father and the taxi driver T, who my father had paid to be his translator. My father told the bureaucrat he wanted to name me Timothy James Harrison. Bureaucrat refused. He says, "Your son is Persian. He must have a strong Persian name, like Reza Mohammed." The bureaucrat would not budge. He would not let me have an American name on my birth certificate or passport. Finally, the taxi driver told my dad to offer all the money in his wallet to the bureaucrat. The bureaucrat refused the money. No, 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 sir. I must insist. I do not need your money. But my father knew of Taruf. In Iran, you must make an offer 3 times to allow them to take the gift with honor. My father then offered a second time. Great sir, I cannot take this money. What you see before you is a lowly office worker for the great country of Iran. I would just have to give it to some poor Arab who lives on the street, as the Quran commands. On the third time offered, he reached out, took the money, put it in his pocket, said, Merci. You are right, sir. Timothy James is a strong name also. When I was offered the second time by my birth mother was when my father would walk me around Tehran. No one even looked at him funny. I was a brown baby. He was Native American. He looked like he could be my father. One day, my dad had me on his shoulders, carried me through Tehran. He sees my birth mother, and she's walking right directly towards him on the sidewalk. She smiles at him, but not once does she look above his head. She only looks into his eyes. He was so worried she would look up and scream, an American has my baby. But he thinks she never looked up because it would break her heart to see me. The third time that my life was saved was 2 years after my birth. If you've seen that movie Argo, when you come into the airport, they take your passport, write down what you're doing there, take a copy of that, put it behind you, and they'll match it up when you leave. My parents were leaving. I did not have the paperwork. The security forces took my passport and birth certificate with them to the secret police. My parents nervously waited for a response, of course. Half a day later, they were authorized to board the plane. If I had my birth certificate in the name of Reza Mohammed, and also if my dad was not Native American and had dark skin, they would have never let this brown Iranian self on a plane. Possibly arrested my parents, who knows? Once they got on the plane and started to leave, the plane was stopped on the tarmac. Secret police boarded it. My parents were worried it was for them, but luckily for the police, they took 4 Iranians, or luckily for them, the police took 4 Iranians off the plane. It seems my birth mother Zoreh performed Taruf, offering me to my parents 3 times. Even though my mother, she was a typical American, so she took it on the first offer, but my mother still offered it 3 times. The third time is a bit metaphysical, but I would love to believe it's true. And I'll let you hear my mother tell it in her own words.
The night before Tim's 39th birthday, I was standing at my kitchen sink at my home on Orcas Island, and I audibly heard, where's my son? Is he okay? Where's my son? I looked at the clock and it was exactly the time he was born the next morning in Iran. So I answered her in Farsi, Zahre Zahre, Pasare Shoma Kheli Khub, Kheli Khub. Son of you, very good, very good.
adult without origin. My name is Alan. I was born in China. Traditionally, Chinese parents prefer sons over daughters, as boys can pass on their surnames. Maybe because I was a baby girl, or the difficult circumstances of my biological parents, I was left on the street when I was an infant. The police found me and took me to the local orphanage, Jining Benefit Center, where there was a long river behind it, and I was given the name Xiaoning Jiang, which means the girl beside a river. Five years later, my mom adopted me, and I immigrated to America. Thanks to my mom for providing me opportunity to learn, I was able to engage in the study of visual art, performing art, dancing, singing, and performing music. To ensure good grade in my regular school classes and devote enough time to all these after-school activities, I set up a schedule for myself. Going to sleep at 2 a.m. in the morning and getting up at the same time as everyone else. Well, I was grateful to my mom for bringing me here to America. It's not without its challenges. Being of a Chinese descent with a mom who is white and lesbian created issues for my peers while growing up. Sometimes my classmates laughed at me because of my background. Ignoring their prejudice, I studied even harder. 10 years later, I applied for the Korean pop star K-pop program, passed their second interview, and was selected for their youth training program. Considering going to Korea means throwing away my current life and not being able to attend high school here, my mom and I decided to pass. Life is full of milestones, one after another. Now I have graduated high school and I'm in college. Knowing the amount of effort I put in is proportional to the amount of achievement I get, I continued allocating 2 extra hours per day to studying instead of sleeping or playing. Some people asked me if I'm curious about my origin, and have I ever thought of going back to the orphanage to try to get more information? No, I don't. Origin is a part of a person's identity, but it's also something we didn't get to choose. I feel fortunate that my mom adopted me, took me to America, and gave me a loving home. To me, what matters most is where I am now, the direction I'm going, and the place I will be. But since my starting point was chosen for me, I own my dreams. and can work to end up where I want to be. Being one to pursue dreams. Every day, I'm happy despite of hard work and study. On my way, fulfilling my dreams. I am a moving dot without origin.
My family practices Islam, one of the major religions where I was born, in Kenya. So I practice as well, but I was only doing that to make my family happy. But respectfully, my heart is not set on this religion. I couldn't express my individuality the way I wanted to. I changed because it's a rule in my house to cover up. When I leave my house, it's not a rule anymore. Coming to the States was tough. I barely remember what it was like where I was born. Most opportunities were hard to come by.
You don't wanna have to not find out. Okay, I'll show you what it's like stressed out. No crying, but you kinda wish you would sometimes. Don't say that. My sisters are trying their life. Everybody need a step front, and I'ma be the only one to take a step back right now.
Last year I traveled out of my classroom because of my mental health. But
Yeah, definitely.
I was classes all the time.
Yeah. School teaches you that you should always be everything should be on time.
Yeah.
But if you need to go on your own pace and not overwhelm yourself, that's that's fine. That's completely fine, you know? I feel like everything just kind of happens for a reason. Everybody goes in their own pace, you know? You want to use the bathroom? This is an art school, an art building. Pretty much came here to study. I never really liked school that much, so it really helps just being here and having a quiet mindset and being around a good group of people instead of being so stressed out at home and too much noise. So I usually just come here because I can just study in a quiet building, no one distracting me or anything. So, yeah. It's been hard graduating, but I can finally do it, you know. I was different, and that's kind of what made me that student, like a bad student. I was secretly dating this girl while simultaneously dating this guy. Everybody knew I was dating the guy, but nobody knew I was dating the girl. Long story short, she told everybody, and it was bad. I was very embarrassed. After that happened, I started dressing similarly to everybody in the school. I started just acting straight, just to prove to everybody that I was not straight. And it was bad. I couldn't even come out myself as bisexual. I'm just kind of overthinking right now. Rachel is a friend of mine who lives in my neighborhood. I usually come over when I'm free. She helps me express myself when I'm not confident enough. My expression means a lot to me. I'm non-binary, which means I don't conform to a gender. I like to ask people to use they, she pronouns when they're referring to me.
I sense it all. I'm emotional. Well, I sense it all. Something like me. I'm emotional. I sense it all. I'm emotional. Well, I sense it all. I'm emotional. You look at me. I look right back. See inside of me. I see pitch black. Don't play with me. And don't fight back. It's just another day to me. Just another fight back.
I've always had this rule to not ignore intuition. The feeling resting on your chest that comes and goes. That feeling for me is going forward and away. I'm looking for a card for my brother's birthday because he's turning 14 today. But I don't know. They don't really have like much of a selection. This? Look at this one.
Dion, can you come to the top check out, please? Dion, top check.
I think this is the one. I think this is the one. Extra spicy wishes for a birthday filled with fun. Salsa. Yeah. And it has a taco. This is perfect because his birthday is on Cinco de Mayo and it's the 5th of May today. I think this is the one. I think we should get this one. Yeah. Honestly, his birthday was not the best. My mom was just being kind of rude, kind of been rough. So this really would be like a nice ending to the day and he could just enjoy these snacks, enjoy the card I gave him, and then just play video games. I'll be like, you're annoying, but I love you. I walk more often than not because it brings me mental clarity. Often, when I have time, I travel. I go places I haven't been before. But I always end up somewhere familiar. I'm happy to be near the water. To me, it's a place where I feel I can let my worries disappear. I think everyone should have a place where they can keep their mind at ease.
Oh, we're Project Mayhem. This is George Rose. My name is Dex. We're trying to, give that live music back to Seattle.
A while back, I went camping and there was a bonfire. I reached my hand out and noticed that the fire was moving away from me. I put my hand out once more and it did it again. It was strange because I can look back on when I was a kid in Kenya and fell in a pit oven that left me with burns all over my body.
Like this with her, like, I really just in my pocket. No, that ass from. Am I like lying, guys? Look, like, does she not look like a fucking like surfer dude or something? Oh, like from the back.
My favorite song is Joy Division's She Lost Control. Sometimes I feel I lose control when I try my hardest to gain it. The best way I could describe the feeling of dissociation is when time stops feeling real, and before you know it, you lose half your memory and watch your life slip away. I think mental health care should be talked about more within families, especially immigrant families. They should talk about poverty, education, housing, employment, and overall social functionality. Having come this far, I should be prideful, but I'm not. The system's in place expecting me to work harder than the average American, but I never find my pride in conforming to others' expectations. Do you want a flower? Okay, I'm gonna go back and lay down. Family, to me, means they're always there for you. It's about unconditional love for one another in spite of shortcomings. You can always trust and confide in them. My friends are my family. They've helped me when I needed them the most. I love my blood-related family, but there's always conditions that I have to follow to get that love back. When there's conditions in place, you have to know your worth. I've been working on self-love. I believe you should always show love and care to others as much as you do to yourself. Acceptance and respect are just the first steps.
There's something in my heart, something that the world tried to push down too far. Now I got it and I'll never let it go. My heart, my soul, that's all she ever talks about. Who needs it? You don't wanna have to not find out. Okay, I'll show you what it's like stressed out. No crying, but you kinda wish you would sometimes. Don't say that. My sisters are trying their life. Everybody need a step front, and I'ma be the only one to take a step back right now. I bet on everybody think I'm whack right now. Ego slave.
Do you think there is something controlling the universe? Any thoughts? Point?
Everything fucking happens for a reason, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it sounds like a lie sometimes when you're like, oh yeah, everything happens for a reason, but sometimes it doesn't happen for a reason. Maybe it just happens. It just happens.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for meeting with me today.
Oh, my pleasure.
So can you start off by telling me your name and where you're from?
My name is Axel, and I'm from Munich, Germany.
Nice. Can you tell me a little bit more about yourself?
Well, I'm married. I have 2 kids, 2 boys. I'm a German citizen, and I have a permanent residency here in the United States. What else? I love nature and the outdoors. In Germany, there's hardly any untouched nature. So because of this, I had to travel at a young age to remote places.
That's very cool. Where are some of the places you've been to?
I've traveled to Scandinavia, Nepal, Japan, Alaska, and Canada.
That's very cool. What was it that made you want to move here?
Probably the open spaces and just no crowds.
Mm-hmm.
When I was about 24 years old, my uncle, who was living in Lake Tahoe at the time, offered me a place to stay in exchange that I help him build his house. So I quit my job as an engineer and I moved to Lake Tahoe. For about 7 years, I lived on my uncle's 80 acres in the middle of a national forest, just a couple of miles east of Lake Tahoe. It was up in the mountains at about 7,500 feet of altitude. We stayed in a tiny trailer while we built his house. My uncle also offered me a place in the business if I stayed.
Nice. Sounds like a lot of work and a good opportunity. Yeah. Is your uncle also from Germany?
He is, yeah. He came to the US right after World War II, being a part of Operation Paperclip, where the US and the USSR were racing to get German scientists to work for them.
That's very interesting. Do you have any other family members that have immigrated here?
No, just my uncle.
Nice. So can you tell me what your first day was here?
My first day I arrived here was insane. I was so tired. You know, I had flown for 15 plus hours, but I do remember my first barbecues with my uncle up in the mountains. American steaks are much better than in Germany because the US has a lot more hormones in their meats, which are not allowed in Germany.
Well, it's unfortunate for people in Germany. Can you tell me what the process was like coming here?
Getting in an airplane with a backpack.
Nice. Seems like you had a pretty easy experience.
Yeah.
So how is life different here than it is in Germany?
It's way more rustic and undeveloped here as in Germany, where everything is much more organized. Germany has a very well-developed infrastructure, free healthcare, free education. On the other hand, I think generally people are more friendly here. And again, you can find open spaces and get away from people and cities. I also enjoy having a boat, skidoos, wave runners. I can go hunting and fishing. All of this, which is pretty much impossible or very expensive in Germany.
Nice. So are you glad you decided to move here?
I am, yes. But I do like to go back to Germany at least once a year.
Okay. If there was something you could change, what would it be?
I don't really know what I would change. Maybe less people, restrict growth.
Okay, so given the fact that you were immigrating from a Western European country to the US and there's a lot of shared ideologies and opinions, what was it that you found most surprising about your interactions with Americans?
I really enjoyed the open friendliness and interest of the Americans I have met. In Germany and Europe, people are more reserved. I was also surprised that many of the Americans I met did not travel, even out of the state, and knew very little of other things in the world and about other countries.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting. Okay, so last question. If Americans were to immigrate to Germany, what are some of the challenges you think they'd face?
Many Americans do immigrate to Germany for the free healthcare and free education. The people I knew initially had issues with the bureaucracy and language in Germany. In addition, driving can be a challenge, but otherwise, I think that things are very similar.
Thank you so much for meeting with me today.
Of course, my pleasure.
I left my hometown. In order to enrich my knowledge, I planned up the courage to set foot on the road. In order to adjust the environment, I arrived in Seattle a few days earlier. During this time, I went to the famous place like Public Market and the first store of Starbucks. When I went to the campus of Shoreline, I saw the new dorm. I was excited at that moment. After a period of time, I gradually integrated into the environment of Shoreline Community College, self-study and do some activities. This is my first experience of dorm life. Meanwhile, I was embarrassed by the demographic diversity. Although China is huge, we mostly share the same cultural and ethnic background. Here in the US, different ethnic groups have distinctly different perspectives. At Shoreline Community College, the international students give me a desire to learn beyond my previous experiences. I have been in touch with more diverse value systems and cultural habits. When I entered here for about half a year, a new type of virus was repeatedly spreading among the humans. My friends and I were worried and anxious at this time. My school released the information of online courses. Because of COVID-19, I had to leave the US. I packed the things in my room and stored them in the storage. I love my room. It's like a warm nest for me. Because when I lived in the room with my roommates, it was a great time for me. We used to decorate our rooms and cook together. But many people have already left here. I look at the empty campus outside, and everything was like pressing the pause button. The campus is no longer as busy as in the past. Without the crowd and the voice of communication, I suddenly feel lonely, and I'm not sure when I will be back here. The COVID-19 seemed to have disrupted many people's plans. My campus life in the US was short but also meaningful to me. I can't believe that my campus life in the US been suspended since I began to take online classes. Until now, I'm about to graduate. I spend most of my time taking online classes at home in the process of the SCC. This special experience would be unforgettable. I hope that when I return to the US, I could go to school. Also hope that everyone will return to the ideal life as soon as possible.
Hi, I'm Gal Levitt. Thank you for letting me tell you my story about being a princess for a week. My story starts in Fort Knox, Kentucky. A young Cambodian officer, my father, met a beautiful young American teen, my mother. The two of them met at a dance club, which is why I love to dance, I'm sure, and they had a romance. The romance was very short and ended quickly. The Khmer Rouge at this time had just taken over the capital city of Phnom Penh, and the country is about to go into a horrible genocide. So while my father was using his diplomatic allies to get family out of the country, my mother was just a pregnant teen, and she was sent away, and they would be separated and never ever reunite. It would be many, many years later that I would find my Cambodian family, and it would be a really interesting royal treat at that. Being a brown girl in Kentucky was a unique experience. Everybody wanted to know where I was from. They were just generally curious, but it always ended in the same conversation. Where are you from? I'm from here. I'm from Kentucky. No, where are your parents from? Well, my father's from Cambodia. My mom's American. Well, where are they? Where's your parents? Where's your daddy? And I would say, I don't know. I didn't get a chance to know my dad. So I got really tired of telling this story to everybody. Every time we met, it would always end the same. They would find out I didn't know who my dad was and hadn't a chance to meet him. So I made up a better story about being a princess. And I said that one day my family would come for me. And a few of my close friends even wrote in my yearbook, my Cambodian queen, my Cambodian princess. I had told this story a few times. But I never thought that I would have a chance to actually go to Cambodia. My family would find me and I would get to live like a princess for a week. So when I say live like a princess for a week, we had a massage therapist come to the room. We had drivers take us everywhere, manicures. I had a seamstress come and they fitted me and my cousins for all of our matching outfits. So we'd match the princess in the royal court. It was just such an amazing experience. So my first trip to the fatherland was for many reasons. It was my grandmother's 90th birthday. It'd be the first time I would be seeing my father's home country and meeting several family members, including 2 sisters, uncles, my grandmother, the princess, the prince. When I arrived, everything was looked after. I mean, I'm from Kentucky. I grew up with my American family, and I was not ready for the culture shock. I wasn't ready for what I was going to experience. I mean, who's ever ready to meet a princess? A real princess? So the whole trip started great. I was driven to the compound, the family compound, and when I arrived to my room, it was full of exotic fruit. And the princess came to my room and it gave me a big welcome and told me that I would meet my sisters the next day. The next morning, we had breakfast in this beautiful tropical garden, and we had green bananas with croissants and soft cheese and black coffee. And she brought pictures. She brought a picture of my grandfather, and she said that I resembled him, and I did. It's really amazing to resemble somebody. Growing up with my American family, I stuck out like a burnt French fry, and now all of a sudden I look like people. It was really warming to my heart. I loved that. So I have to tell you, Princess arranged this wonderful picnic. We get on a riverboat. We're going down the Mekong River. I've got my sisters with me. It's a wonderful, beautiful morning. I can't believe this is happening. And we pull into this little town where the racing boat is. And as we're pulling into port, there's hundreds of villagers all cheering, and there's monks arriving, and they're throwing rose petals as we disembark at us, and they're chanting. And we go and sit on a large carpet, and the older women help me to pose my legs like this, and fix my scarf as we were all blessed. And then we blessed the boat, and then they heave a hole and launched the boat into the water, and they raced it up and down the river. And the princess had her parasol, and she's cheering them on. It was such a lovely experience, the whole thing. The water festival itself is 840 years old. This is a very old tradition. The day of the festival, we all put on our outfits that Auntie had made for us. The princess had us all wear matching outfits, and we went to her room, and then she added to our outfits the jewelry, earrings, rings, bracelets that were all family jewelry, shoes, purses, the whole thing. And then we all arrived in 4 cars, all arrived to the festival. Once we got to the festival, we all entered via red carpet, and there were 9 of us all dressed in these beautiful red silk skirts and sashes with white lace tops. And then we sat in this beautiful royal court. It was covered, the columns, in silk ribbons, and the chairs were covered in silk, and there were red carpets everywhere. And when the King Norodom arrived, he came on the red carpet, and we lined up, and we all bowed, and he came and made eye contact and bowed to each and every person down the sides of the red carpet, and then went and sat on his throne, where, he was the king of the festival. And then the other princesses and princesses sit behind him. So King Norodom is in the center. Princess Norodom, my auntie, and her husband, Prince Norodom, are sitting here. And then I'm sitting right behind them going, this is so amazing. And I'm cheering on our boat. And then after the races, they have like a big parade of boats that had lit off fireworks. It's a big, big celebration. That was a really fantastical experience. But we also had some real beautiful, heartfelt experiences too. We celebrated my grandmother's 90th birthday, and she was losing her vision, so she had to see my face with her hands and greet me this way. And it was just wonderful to feel her hands of my grandmother touching me and meeting me for the first time. I cried.
We went to see where our fathers are buried. Mm-hmm. And my cousins had never been to Cambodia, and I hadn't been to Cambodia, so none of us had been to this burial site where grandfather and our fathers were. So it's a temple kind of shaped a little bit like a pyramid. Mm-hmm. So you can go inside of it, and inside there's room to kneel, and maybe not really stand, but kneel and pray. And there are all the ashes of our ancestors and their portraits. And we brought jasmine bracelets and laid them all on there in incense, and then we just kind of prayed. And I don't even understand the presence that happened, but the five of us sobbed. We just sobbed uncontrollably. I don't know. It was really interesting for this family and these people that I hadn't met, that I still sobbed not getting a chance to meet them, I guess. Yeah. I was really sad to not get to ever meet my father, but also kind of grateful to have all of these experiences that I kind of felt like they were there with us, like we were all hugging or holding each other. And maybe that's the reason why us cousins couldn't cry, like couldn't stop crying. We were all just never really had a chance to hold space for that kind of thing. Yeah. It was a really sweet thing that Auntie did for us.
It's really nice to feel a part of that too. I have my American side and I love my American culture, but to understand and really get to connect to this ancient culture that I'm related to as well was tremendous. And I got to have all these lovely experiences and this royal treatment and felt like a princess for a week. And then took a plane from Siem Reap to Phnom Penh, to China, to LA, to Denver, to Miami, back to Key West. And I was back to driving myself home, cooking my own dinner, and then doing my own dishes. It was really great to live the royal life for a week. And coming home, I did feel like I understood myself better. I felt more whole and complete, knowing both sides of my family. And I definitely would want to go back for sure.
Yeah.
I am Nawan Catherine Eve, and I'm right now called Catherine Eve Nawan Dunlap, and I go by Kathy Dunlap. And the video shown of the dance performance is called the Acholi dance, known as La Raka Raka. La Raka Raka dance comes from the word quickly. So it is a Kiswahili word called quickly. So quickly is La Raka Raka in Swahili. So, but the dance itself comes from the northern Uganda. It's a courtship dance performed by the Acholi people that the youth easily dance anytime to identify their partners, like to marry, courtship in marriage. And we normally perform it and add some parts to show how we northern girls easily carry things on our head like luggage, because we were trained to carry. Long ago, our parents and great-parents used not to have cars and vehicles, so a woman used to carry a lot of things on her head. So like a big bunch of things you could carry. So we brought that hat to a performance by carrying a pot, because we use a pot for fetching water. And in our dances, mostly in this dance, from this region, we had to add pots and put it like an hat. And we used to carry more than even 10 or 8, as much as someone balancing you pots and carry while putting on your head is putting well. I have been a dancer for many years. I would say my grandmother was a dancer. My great-grandmother was a dancer. My great-grandmother was from this tribe called the Acholi tribe. And I'm from another tribe, but I speak their language and understand everything, and I perform all their dances well, right from childhood, because my great-grandmother was an Acholi. And I am from the Karamojong tribe, from the northeastern Uganda, known as the family for the Maasai. We are like the Maasai of Uganda, called the Karamojong. So, and the Acholi tribe is close to us, but it's northern side of Uganda, while we are in the northeast. And the two languages between the Acholi and the Karamojong are not related at all. Not one word do they share. You cannot understand anything if you don't know any of the languages. So I come from the northeastern side, but I know this tribe because my great-grandmother used to dance with my grandmother, and I saw my mother learning it from her mother, and I saw all my great-grandmother and grandmother and mother perform all together. And from the age of 2 years old, they always used to teach us, that's the first thing you learn, just like I'm teaching my kids. So we used to learn dancing. And I have been performing, mostly it was in the music, dance, and drama team in school during my primary school back home here in Kotido Mixed Primary. And we used to dance during music competitions. At nationals, my school used to go as the best school to represent the region. The region has like 9 districts. So they could select the best teams and compete until they pick one to go to the national level in the city to perform and see the best one in the country. So my team has been, my school was always producing the best performances, and I used to go to the national theaters. And until I was taken for a scholarship in high school for the 4 years during my ordinary level, and that's like college in the US. So I went on and continued and finished, but it was on a scholarship. But then the national team that I'm performing with is a private company, but it has been there as the first team that produced the Ugandan hats and collected it together to be cultural dances to be performed and represent the country. And the team called the Ndere Troupe has been performing since 1986, before I was born. And I was identified by some of the members of the Uganda Development National Theatre team that identified me from the performers who were on stage during the best performances there. That's when they followed me home to my school, asked my parents to join the national team because you are given a scholarship to be in school while you perform with them. And most of the time, the national team or country is represented by this team and asked maybe by the president or anyone to represent the country in like world exhibitions like in China and many other places, Italy, and I've been there most of the time, like different countries too, representing still the country. So for me, performance in my country has been a very great thing to be doing a lot of this because it is what made me who I am. It's what has pushed me where I am right now. I would say that apart from dancing, I would be someone else. Yes, maybe a teacher, maybe someone else, but I have traveled all over the world and being seen as someone back home.
Why did you immigrate to this country?
I came this way because my husband is from here and probably he prefer to finish here.
What do you mean finish here?
I mean, today he's learning. He has friends here, he has friends, he can talk his language. And if he is more clear here, I think, if it says nothing, it's going to be more possible to here than in my country.
Better opportunities, you know? I just wanted to start a different life, you know? I mean, like the life that I had, it wasn't what I wanted. I don't think it is like what anybody wanted, you know? Like around in my area, you know? Everybody talked about El Norte, you know? So I just wanted to come over here and work for a couple of years and make enough money to build an oven to start a bakery, you know? Start a new life.
I immigrated to this country because of school. I didn't really want to come. I feel like I'd been set up all my life to study and go to the university in the United States. I never really had a say in it.
People do take advantage of you, so I didn't think, you know, like if I look back now, I was like, holy shit, it was pretty bad, you know? So it wasn't pretty. But back then I thought it was okay, you know, thought it was good.
What did you know about this country before coming?
Not a whole lot, other than what I'd seen in the movies.
Before coming here, I knew that this country was a country responsible for instating the dictatorship I was born under, Augusto Pinochet in Chile.
I just knew what I knew about this country was like it was in the north, and that was the whole thing, you know. I mean, that's what everybody talked about, El Norte, you know. So in a way, that's what I wanted to come over here. It's more of El Norte than it was like the country, you know.
It's a country that like to put dictators in other countries, and then with this dictator started being too bad for them, they just don't help them anymore and they want their hands.
I knew that there was a lot of shootings in this country. In Chile, they don't have guns. I mean, they do have guns, but they're not legal, so we don't really have any shootings. Very, very, very rare, if any at all. I don't remember any, to be honest.
Yeah, but everything was very foreign. was very different.
How does it feel to migrate to this country?
More easy for me since I'm married to an American.
I didn't want to do it, but I feel perhaps it was a good decision. As a woman, you have a lot more opportunities in this country than in Chile. It's a lot easier to get a job and raise a family if you're single. And yeah, it's not bad to migrate to this country, I think. Hardships did you face when you got to this country, if any?
Much less than in my country. Like people complain about the transportation. And everything, all the buses are on time, they're clean, you can carry your bicycle. And nobody going to rob you inside the bus or outside the bus. Like there's more democracy. You can dress whatever you like without offending other people. Nobody wants to rob you, like in your house. You can leave still your door unlocked. The people can complain about the quality of the air, and they can do something about it. If you pay your tax, it looks like they are making bridges and school, free libraries. Things like that you can't find in my country.
When I first got here, I got to LA, and there's a lot of competition there, you know. I mean, you get the Mexicans, and then you get the Central Americans, and it's actually like pretty hard, you know, because you know you're the newcomer, and I think historically that's always been like kind of an issue over here in the States. It's like the newcomers, you know, they always get the bad end of the stick, you know, like you got to start, you're basically at the bottom of the barrel.
Getting jobs was challenging because I went to Oklahoma where they didn't look kindly towards, you know, anybody that didn't fit their racial profile in terms of hiring them for work.
I was born North American when I was in South America. I was born American. I was born Chilean. I was born a white Hispanic. And when I got here, I fit right in. I knew good English. I looked like the majority of the people here. So I didn't have any hardships. Are there any differences in the treatment when you got here because of your skin tone? Did you feel any difference?
Like by the people, like I was saying before, yes, difference of treatment, but from the other immigrants, mostly. The white people are being all the time, almost all the time, very nice with me. Policeman, people in the custom, in the library, anywhere.
I don't think it was the skin color as much as I had a very strong non-American accent at the time. And that's why I stood out much more. And today, if you're an Indian, you know, they kind of look at you as, you know, you're the smart people, you know, you're the model minority, you know, whatever. So you get treated very differently than it was when I first came.
Or some people think everything from Mexico South, everybody eat the same food. So they ask me, oh, it's very hot in your country, the food. But they're not everybody the same. The different countries in South America are different.
I don't think I felt any difference in treatment because of my skin color, since I was white already, and I knew perfect English. Well, not perfect English, pretty good English. I feel like they accepted me as one of their own. Do you ever go back to your country? Are you going back to your country sometimes?
All the time.
My plans in the future are to go visit, of course. I want to go back as much as I can.
Yes, I go to Chile almost every year. We still have connection. I have a son there. I have 2 grandchildren. And I only immigrant here. I'm not a citizen, so I need to go back to Chile.
They say that like by the time I get back, I'm gonna be an old man, you know, like spitting out some, you know, angry shit. So maybe not. Maybe I'm not going back.
I usually go every other year because it's kind of a long distance.
Yeah.
You know, and then that sort of the need for that recently has dissipated to some extent because my whole family lives in the United States. It is kind of nice to go back and I love the food that I can't get that food over here.
Would you do it again if you had the chance? To start all over?
A good question. I haven't really thought about that, but I probably would.
I think back then, like, you know, like I would do it over and over, you know, and in a way I kind of did, but if I knew then what I know now, like I said before, like, I would not do it again, you know. If somehow, like, oh, this whole, you know, American dream, you know, and it seems like it's never enough, you know. Like, you always want a little bit more, you know.
Now that I'm a lot older, a single mom, trying to become a nurse, I would definitely come to this country. I love this country. It's a great country. It's definitely got its problems, just like any other country. But yes, now that I'm older, I would do it. When I was younger, I think I would have given Chile a chance. What are you doing now?
Right now, I'm sitting here answering your question.
I am in the Shoreline Community College, having a good time making mini documentaries. And I'm an aspiring nursing student. I'm also a Spanish interpreter translator, and I'm a commercial fisherwoman in Alaska in the summers. But my most important job is being a mom.
I'm still here. That's what I'm doing, you know. I'm still working like on El Norte, you know. Like, I'm still like trying to accomplish that, you know. We're taking care of our families. We're taking care of, like, you know, the economy in Mexico. And yeah, you know, they call us heroes, but we still fucking owe them money. Everybody wants their share of your misery in a way, you know.
Enjoy my last year. Try to know more places, read more books, really get the books I really like very much. Go back to Chile to see my son, who is right here, and just try to be with my husband. That's all.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much. We were just talking that the video part of it played really well on our end. It played well on your end as well, too. Great. Thanks, Nicole. And sorry for the holdup in the beginning. This is the first time we've ever ventured this way. So thank you for your patience and holding on. Hopefully it was worth the wait. And we're here. We have the artists here. I know that. Let's see. I know Nicole is here. She was a director on Gal's Piece and an editor on Gal's Piece, and also was an editor on Natasha's piece. Natasha is here. Mary's here, and Tim is here. Harry had his connection. He's in Madagascar, and his connection didn't carry him through, so he had to jump off. So he'll be back tomorrow. Maybe he can jump back on. And Haley's here as well too. So does anybody have any questions? John's gonna take them from the YouTube and put them into the chat. I also have YouTube up here as well too, onto my left. This is weird. I'm looking at myself on YouTube right now, and this is freaking. Okay. Yeah, there was a little background noise, Ginger. Yeah, a little background noise sometimes. Yeah, great comments, everybody. I hope all the artists was able to follow the comments, and I'm just catching up to it, and it's really wonderful. There's a 30-second delay, John says. Okay, cool. I have a question for the artists. What was the most challenging part? And this is an open question to all of you, Nicole, Haley, and Tim, Natasha, Mary. What was the most challenging part of this? Because you made it all look so easy. But what were some of the challenges technically, maybe, or just story-wise? Anything that was difficult for you?
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
Well, my most difficult thing was making it small enough and short enough for this. It had so much more in the story, but I hope I came across with enough to understand it.
Yeah, you're right, Tim. All these stories, there's like books for all these stories, for everybody's story. And you're right, that was hard, was condensing. It's like, okay, you have 10 minutes, go. It's like, to tell this fantastical story. I think there's a movie in your story too as well, Tim. If you were to extend it into a screenplay, a biographical screenplay, I think it would work really, really well. How about for you, Natasha? Any challenges for you? I don't know if she could hear me, or is it that the delay? Can the artists turn on their cameras? Is that okay? Do you mind turning on your cameras so people can see you?
No, I just had a lot of fun doing it. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yep. There's Mary. Cool. There's Haley.
A delay. I think it's a delay.
Yeah, there is a delay, which is, it's kind of fun to like talk on here and then go back and turn to my left and go, oh, there's me. What I just said 10 seconds ago. Weird. Nicole, how about for you? You were the technical genius of this operation with all your editing skills. Was there a big learning curve for you in this project?
I definitely learned a lot more than I knew before. So I'm really grateful for that experience and just being able to be a part of this this project. It was a lot of fun. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for all your hard work on both of the pieces too. Really look great. How about for you, Mary? Anything you want to add, like challenges or rewards or anything that you have anything to comment on?
Yes, from the writing to filming, I encountered some challenges. For example, when writing script of this story, my first draft wasn't that great, but thanks to Alina, she helped me revise my story, so it sounds really great. Then film this my monologue at the by the waterfall. So she provided this wonderful idea, film by the waterfall, because my story's name, the title was The Girl Beside the River. That was a wonderful idea. And when I filmed that a monologue at the botanical garden, the garden actually was the waterfall part was closed actually for construction. So, but I managed to sneak in. So put my tripod there, and then I filmed a couple of times until I'm satisfied. So that was quite fun. It was yeah, and also because of this pandemic, so there are lots of people, so people passing by, there are a bunch of noises. That part was challenging.
Yeah.
Yes, but other than that, that's good. So I'm very glad that this turns out very well. Yeah. Oh, also, by the way, the second part of the music, I filmed in Long Beach, Washington. So thanks to Tony giving me this very good suggestion, put some music at the end. So I'm very thankful for that.
It was beautiful shots, beautiful shots. Mm-hmm. Haley, how about for you? Any challenges or any rewards or anything you want to share?
There was a lot of rewards. It was really nice talking to my friend who told her story, because a lot of times they always say like, Haley, you don't even know what I've been through and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I listen. And so now that we finally got to like go over like everything, it's just like, I wish I could just do this with everyone. And I just think it was like a really good learning experience to just like really try to listen and try to spread that knowledge that you get. And yeah, that was great thing that came out of it. A rough thing was making a linear story and something that you can follow, and yeah, just having like that beginning and the end and making everything tie together. That was most difficult, but another really big reward.
Right on. Right on. There's a couple questions from audience. Ginger asked, how was it to share such personal stories to people you may not know? That's for everybody. How was it to share such personal stories to people you may not know? Anyone want to tackle that question? Sure, Haley.
I think find a common ground, and I think there's so many just like genuinely human experiences that people think are so like individual to each of us, but I think that in the grand scheme of things, we're all of the same species and we all are living in the same era, and there's so much that we can find common ground on.
Right on. Right on. Another question from the chat. How long did you all film for? They were all well thought out. It's a nice compliment with a question. How long did you all film for? We'll start with Natasha, then Mary, then Haley. How long did you all film for, Natasha? I know you had a lot of footage, right, Natasha? I wonder if she can hear me. Can you hear me okay, Natasha? How about you, Mary? Can you hear me okay? Oh, there's Natasha. There she is.
I filmed about.
You had a lot of footage, right, Natasha?
I had a lot of footage. I probably filmed like 15, 20 minutes per person. You guys are gonna get this like 30 seconds later. Sorry. But yeah, about an hour of footage for like 10 minutes or 8 minutes. I filmed about.
It's funny, you're listening to yourself too.
I probably filmed like 15, 20 minutes.
How about for you, Mary? How long did it take you to film everything?
Later, sorry.
You're on the mute, Mary. Mary, you're on the mute. There we are.
Yes, because my piece has 2 parts of music, so I first need to practice. I need first to pick the music. It's Beethoven's 5th Symphony. I feel this symphony number 5 that suits my piece well because of the topic. So first I pick the music and then I practice. So this piece, because I have never played it before, so I practiced about like a couple weeks for both the prelude and the first chapter. So this takes a long time. And then I film recorded for 1 day, each part. So this couple weeks, and then plus the one day at the Botanical Garden, and then plus a couple of days at the Long Beach to record the scene of the ocean. So yeah, because I want a majestic scene and the music accompany with it. So total like 3 weeks.
3 weeks, wow. How about for you, Haley?
I think we started filming like roughly like a month or a month and a half ago. It took a lot of time to plan, but also me and Halima were like, we already spend a lot of time together. So it was like just like adding that to our schedule of hanging out. And so every day we hung out, we hung out more to make sure we got more filming in, and we would plan like what we were going to do that day. And we'd film until my camera died. And yeah, and yeah, so probably like we probably ended up with a couple hours of footage, and yeah, over the course of a month.
Wow. Yeah, I was saying it's nice that all these pieces fit together as a whole for the show, but they're standalone pieces there. I know that your piece would, and Mary's, Natasha's, Gal's, be strong pieces for film festivals, you know, and I know that this gives you all another chance. It's kind of like a workshop right now, a chance for you to show it, get some feedback, maybe go back into editing a little bit if you want, maybe do a little more tweaking, because there was definitely a deadline that approached pretty fast to get this done for all the work that you guys put in. But now you can maybe take some pause, think about it, retool, polish up a little bit, start looking for some film festivals. for all these pieces. Yeah, it's just wonderful work. Is there anything else in here? Put the link to the learning guide in the chat. So if anybody wants to click to the learning guide, that would have the program on there, right, Tishala?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So that'll give you more information about the artists that were sharing their work with us tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Excellent. Cool. Any other questions? Tishala, did you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I do. They're probably, I hope we don't go over, but well, I have one for Natasha because I really love the people you interviewed, and what I love is that there's this like sort of uneasiness for them to talk to you and answer their questions, especially with the woman who was just at the end, you were like, what are you doing now? And she's like, I'm talking to you, you know? And I'm curious, like when you would ask them, you know, to interview, like, was it something that they wanted to do right away, or did it take some coaxing? Like, did you have to, I don't know, really like sweeten the deal a little bit? Way, or did it take some coaxing? Like, did you have to, I don't know, really like sweeten the deal a little bit?
That's a good question, Tishala. It was hard for me. Like, I think the filming part was the easy part, but just coordinating people to film them and, you know, filming them and doing that was the hard part. That took a lot of time. And that particular woman that you were talking about, I feel I had to coax her a little bit. I had to, you know, That's a good question, Tishala. I had to drag her in. Like, I think.
Yeah. And I don't know, Haley, since you're friends with Halima, you know, why did you like, I guess like one, why her? But then also, was this something that you had to really think about? Because, you know, when I came to Tony for this idea, I was like, I don't even know if we're going to get stories. And then the amount that we got, that was really amazing. So I'm just, you know, I'm curious, like, you know, when, you know, this sort of ask was occurred, like, was it something that you were like, yeah, I got the person, I'm on it? Or, you know, what was your process?
It was totally like that, honestly. I was in Chris's editing class, and Tony came into our class and talked about this project. And I had recently just worked on a separate film, like a short film, just for my free time, and it was really fun, but I didn't feel very successful, and I wanted to give it another go. And this was just shortly after, and Tony came into our class and talked about it. And I grabbed my phone, I called Halima, and because she had actually talked to me before, she was like, I'd love to be in a short film with you, because she's like a model, and like I've worked with the camera and her before. So yeah, I just called her and I was like, I have the opportunity, it is right here. And yeah, it was just go from there.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah. And I guess same question for you, Tim. You know, when you were presented with this, was this something that you like immediately wanted to jump and do it? I hope Tim is still here. He went off camera. Maybe he went to the bathroom. Oh, Tim, you're still here. Yay. Okay. But yeah, so yeah, go ahead.
I like showing off my dad more than me. I actually, you know, I've told the story a couple times, but you know, my parents told the story so much it didn't feel that big of a story to me, so I just sort of told it to you guys. I was more interested in finding someone else's story, but when I heard you guys really want me to do this story, I was like, all right, I guess I will.
But I hope you got to recognize like how unique your story is, you know. I think there seemed like there were just so many instances where it could not have worked out, and it did.
We had to shorten it down and cut out the fact that a young Muslim boy was adopted by a Native American and a Jew, You know, so it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how did your parents feel like when you told them that, oh, I'm gonna broadcast my story live on YouTube?
Well, unfortunately, my mother has dementia. That's why I came back to Washington to take care of her. But she gets to tell me these stories over and over again, certain specific ones. So, and I told her, and I'm going to have her watch it. And Dad passed away about 10 years ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And I know, Mary, you were telling someone else's story. And, you know, how did you find your person?
Yes, my friend Ellen, she had this. I know her story. I know where she came from. I know she worked hard. She worked very hard. So when I came to this class, you and Tony brought up this topic of immigrant experience. So I immediately thought of her. There's also another reason that I think it's worth to bring this story up to broadcast, because I feel like we are artists, right? So the purpose of doing an artwork is to deliver positive message to this world, so that people can have strength, people can have courage, because we all have different identities. We all were born in different places, different countries. Some people were born in here, and some people were born, in some poor country, right? Or some people born in poor families. So we all have these different conditions. But is that fair? We always ask ourselves question: is it fair that I was born in such condition, and so was born in much better condition, right? So I feel like her story inspires me, because regardless of where we were born, we always have a choice to choose where we can end up, where we can end up, where our destiny is. It's not like we were born, okay, in this soil, then we tied up to this soil. It's not. You see, we immigrated from different countries to America. See, we were born in different soils. We were not tied to there, right? So we came here seeking for a better life. So everyone was seeking a better life. So I want to deliver this message to people that regardless where your condition is, you always have a choice. And how do you choose? How do you choose a better life? It's through hard work and determination. We need to have a goal that in our mind, I want a better life, and I have a goal, and I see where I am going towards this goal. So I would like to deliver this positive message. See Ellen, my friend, as an example. She worked hard. Yes, she was an orphan, right? Adopted by a loving family in America. But also, after immigrating here, she also has challenges because of family background. Like, so sometimes minorities got prejudice, so didn't treat well. So she was laughed at by her classmates. But we all encounter difficulties during the when we pursuing goals. Do we just give up? No, we don't. We work through it. We overcome our difficulties, and we know someday we will reach the goal. So I was inspired by this. So I would like to deliver this positive message so that everyone has the courage, has the strength to overcome their obstacles and working towards their goals, and finally definitely will achieve the goal.
Yeah, nice. And I think that your story was, I mean, Tony, you wanted to, begin with Mary's piece, and I definitely see that, especially just following with Haley's. piece and seeing like Halima like born in this situation and just trying to like make her life her own. You know, and then also with like Natasha, you know, starting out with, I didn't want to come, but now I'm here, and I, you know, like her life is different. And even, you know, Tim's, who didn't have a choice in the matter, but, you know, just like look what he's done with his life now. So yeah, I definitely feel like your message, Mary, you know, has been delivered.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then for Nicole, I mean, you edited, who did you edit? You edited Gal's piece and Natasha's piece. And I'm curious what that was like for you, because I'm just imagining you're taking someone else's story and now you're trying to make it flow.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty difficult. And it was like trying to decide what it is that what you tell in a 10-minute period versus what you leave out. And I feel like the things that we left out, there's so much meaning and so much like beauty behind them. It was really hard to decide what to cut. But it's the process, and as soon as that's over, it's just the little stuff after that. It's just time consuming, but yeah, once you get the story down, it's a lot easier, but that's definitely the hardest part.
Nice. Yeah, thank you all so much. And I also want to give a shout out to Elena. Elena, we labeled as like our faculty mentors when I sort of started working with Tony on this to work with the other students. So, you know, I definitely want to give you a thanks. And I don't know if you want to say a few words, Elena, or no.
No, I was so happy to be involved. It was so much fun to work with. I worked with Mary and to attend class and give feedback and watch the pieces evolve. And yes, I think definitely some of these are film festival submissions. I really encourage you all to submit your pieces. I really enjoyed them. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got. You know, I'm just amazed that we did this during this time. I'm like, my sweaty armpits can like cool off now.
I can't wait till we're back in a live theater. Yeah, I don't see any more questions to Shala from the chat. So yeah,
Okay.
people spread the word. We'll do it tomorrow night as well. So let people know. And then we'll also have a recorded version of all of this. And we will include some other pieces, like Marie's piece will be included in that piece as well. And that will live on YouTube for as long as we want it to. So yeah.
Yeah, and then also please fill out that survey form that I sent everyone. I put it in the chat. It would just be nice to just get some feedback, you know, about this. What went wrong? What would you like? What you didn't like? Not what went wrong. Nothing went wrong. Just forget the first like 5 minutes. But yeah, that it would just be much appreciated if you could just fill out that survey. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
I just read what Haley wrote in the chat. I love that. Movies are empathy generating machines. I love that. That's a great quote, Haley. That's wonderful. Cool.
A great way to end. Okay. Good night, everyone. Thank
Good
you all
night.
for coming.